Welcome to Voice of Reason.
On this program, we want to talk about Southwest economy. And I'm going to ask what happened to the level of commerce and manufacturing in the country, especially in the Southwest region?
Well, the story of in the Southwest region is a very sorry story. We have seen the collapse of many of the manufacturing companies. The Southwest was noted or reputed for being the manufacturing or industrial hub for the country, and it is still so. But the level of activities in the manufacturing sector had gone down drastically. We know we used to have very vibrant industrial estates. We had the Lupeju industrial estates. We have the Ogba industrial estate. We have the Ikeja industrial estates. We have the Songwater. We have the Agbara. We have some other industrial estates around the Southwestern region. But unfortunately, because of a number of macroeconomic and structural challenges, and also policy-related issues, many of these estates have gone down drastically. Many of the manufacturing firms have folded up, although we still have some that are still operating, but most of them are operating suboptimally. Many of the manufacturing sites or factories have now been taken over by either churches or supermarkets or event centers, or even warehouses for imported finished goods. So that is the unfortunate story of our manufacturing sector in the Southwest. They have declined significantly. And of course, the factors, just as I said, are mainly macroeconomic factors, structural factors, and policy-related factors. We need to restore life to these industrial assets by addressing the fundamental problems of infrastructure, for instance, because you need infrastructure to support this industry so that they can be competitive. Many of them have gone down because they are no longer competitive. Cost of production has been going up. They have challenges with raw materials. The backward integration issues have suffered very serious setbacks. We have issues with our trade policy. We have issues with our international, with our port system. We have issues with our logistics. All of these things we need to focus on. It is still possible to bring life back into those industrial estates. I'm talking of manufacturing activities because it's something that we need for this economy and particularly for this region to continue to play the role it has been playing since independence.
Okay, so we run a federal system of government in Nigeria. Would you blame the subnationals in the southwestern part of the country for the fate of the manufacturing sector, which is at a low ebb, or it boils down to federal government's policies?
No, you see, at the time when those regions were existing, the Southwest was clearly the leading region in the country. And it was because we had what you can call true federalism at that time. The regional governments were able to bring a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, a lot of investment into their various regions. That is what gave the Southwest region an edge. But the moment we had military rule, we had a unitary kind of government. We took away a lot of powers from the regions. And that was the bane of industrialization, particularly in the Southwest. So a lot of policy issues, a lot of regulatory issues, a lot of structural issues were affected because of the unitary nature of government. So it is not the fault of the regional governments or the subnational governments as such. It was a consequence of not allowing a true federal system to operate. That is what happened. So if we're able to get to a point where we make some headway around this restructuring, where we're able to devolve more powers to the subnationals, I think things will work better. I mean, look at some roads that lead to some of these industrial estates. Many of those roads have gone bad completely. And when you talk to industrialists or you talk to the state government, they will tell you that they are federal roads. Meanwhile, the industrialists are suffering as a result of it. The same thing with the ports, the same thing with our railway system. Then you have a whole lot of policy issues that are affecting manufacturing. All of these things are federal issues. So if we are able to make some headway in achieving true federalism, then we can see a lot more traction in terms of revamping and restoring the glory of these industrial estates in the Southwest region.
If we get this country restructured as we speak, is the Southwest region ready for the kind of economic revolution that experts within the region will want to see? Do we still have the raw material? Do we still have the manpower? Do we still have, the wherewithal to survive?
Those things are still very much present in the Southwest. They were only being subdued by the inappropriate structure of the Federation. Those potentials are still there. And even as we speak, even with all these challenges, the Southwest is still the leading region in terms of industrialization, even as we speak today. So the resources are still there. The people are there. The finances are there. The skills, the innovation is there. The creativity is there. Even the leadership, we have them. If you have that constitutional space for the leadership in the Southwest to do a lot more than what they are doing. Even as we speak today, when we talk of innovation in leadership, you find it largely in the Southwestern part of the country. So those resources are there, both human and material. What we need is a much better constitutional space for our leaders in the Southwest to bring their creativity and innovation to bear on the quality of governance.
All right.
So that it can still happen.
That's exactly the point. Some persons will argue that, okay, no doubt we may have a faulty constitution, but it does not totally cage the governors, for instance, in the Southwest region from, exploring the opportunities in their state. But these ones will argue that the bandwagon effect of going cap in end to Abuja every month end to get allocation from the Federal Capital Territory seems to be one that governors in the region are comfortable with.
Not exactly. Not exactly. But that is not to absorb them completely. Even within the limitations of the Constitution, I agree that they can do a lot more than what they are doing. But the fact that we are operating a unitary system is also a factor that is also slowing them down in terms of what they can do and in terms of the resources that they have, even to transform some of these sectors. For instance, for companies in the Southwest, all the company tax that businesses pay, the bulk of this tax revenue comes from the Southwest. They don't come to the subnationals. They don't come to the state governments. They go to the center. I'm talking of corporate tax. All the VAT that are paid in the region are also going to the center for everybody to share. The same thing with all the import duties and all of this revenue from the ports. They're also going to the center for everybody to share. So when you look at the revenue streams of all the key economic activities in the sub-region, not much of it is coming to the states in the region. So these are some of the the challenges of this unitary system. So if you have more power devolved, you are likely to see even more revenue coming to them, and that will give them more capacity to do a lot more. So I take the point, right now they can do a lot more, so they need to be a lot more innovative to develop some of those potentials. But we need this restructuring and this devolution of powers to be able to give them much more latitude to do a lot more. So we need those two things to happen for us to achieve the kind of vision, dream of industrial transformation in the Southwest.
What role is all of these inadequacies playing on the unemployment rate in the region? Now, we're having a conversation this morning, and it was observed that everyone that should be into one vocation or the other, especially the young ones, everybody has turned to become an Okada rider. So what implication is this having on unemployment rate in the Southwest region of the country?
If the economy is not doing well, if investors are struggling, then you have challenges of unemployment. Because it is the investors, it is the entrepreneurs that will create the jobs. I mean, look at the challenges that they are facing now. They are facing challenges with exchange rates. Look at the impact of exchange rates on many businesses today. They are facing challenges with energy. Diesel is now costing over 800 naira per liter from about 250 about a year ago. Look at the cost of transportation. Then look at all the charges and taxes and levies, import duty, regulatory issues. So when all these pressures are too much for the investors, you will not be able to create the employment opportunities, because it is these investors and entrepreneurs that will create the jobs. So it comes back to creating an environment for these entrepreneurs, for these investors to thrive. The mortality rate of businesses now is extremely high because of macroeconomic problems, because of regulatory problems, because of structural problems. You run a station there, go and check with your accountant how much you are spending on diesel, on energy, to keep your station running. You know? So it takes a lot of innovation and resilience and determination to keep businesses running under the present condition. So what needs to happen is to encourage all these entrepreneurs across all sectors in the region. Whether they are talking of manufacturing, whether they are talking of service sector, whether they are talking of agriculture and all of them. We need to create an environment for them to be able to thrive. If they're able to thrive, there will be more jobs that will be created. And you have less people go ride the Okada. Construction industry will thrive, manufacturing will thrive, even distributive trade, even agriculture. Talk to the farmers now. Apart from the challenges of productivity in the farm, challenges of transportation is a big issue for them. You know, where the transportation cost is almost as high as the farm gate prices of some of these products. So all of these things are major, big sources of frustration, which we need to address. If we're able to address that, then we'll be able to create more jobs.
Okay, so let's talk of the 6 states in the Southwest region of the country. In terms of production, in the past, each of these states was identified with one thing or the other. And that was why I asked earlier on that should this country be restructured today, will the Southwest region of the country hit the ground running? Is it not a case of states in this region, you know, shifting or diverting their attention to something else?
It is not the same. And it's not the same because of the dysfunctional structure of the country. And let me explain why. You talk about marble, you talk about gold and all of that. Do you know that for any investor to do anything there, you have to get permission from Abuja? You have to get a mining license from Abuja, not from the state government. And if you talk to investors, the kind of thing they go through, even to get the permission to do this mining business, it's very frustrating. Then even if that happens, the revenue from mining doesn't come to the state government. It goes to the common pool, the mining rent and all of that. The only thing the state government can get, maybe land rent or something like that. So all of these things are sources of incentives. Then if you have a more autonomous region, you are likely to have better linkages within the Southwest. Just as between Ogun and Lagos now, they are talking about how to foster linkages and build a more cohesive economy between Ogun and Lagos State. We can replicate that across the region. If there is deliberate effort on the part of all the governors in the region to provide linkages, that linkages can make a whole lot of difference in the economies of the South. But I take your point, the governments can do a lot more to tap these resources, but I want you to also acknowledge that there are policy and constitutional constraints. The government of Ogun or yours cannot just mine. And when the revenue comes even from mining, it doesn't come to the states. So where is the incentive? Where is the motivation for them to be investing in all of this? Then you need infrastructure to be able to connect all these locations to the market or to Lagos or to the ports in Lagos. So there are issues across board. Look at the challenges we are facing with energy because of the over-centralization of energy. All of us are dependent on national grid. We are waiting for constitutional amendment for the states to be able to generate electricity. How can the states progress under that condition? So these are the issues. There are issues of capacity at the subnationals. Then there are also constitutional issues that we need to deal with. So we have to deal with these things together.
Let's talk about the solution. We wanted to bring your expertise into BNL. What's your advice? We're looking at how we can, restore the lost glory of the Southwest region.
For many of these industries, the factors affecting their performance are not exactly within the control of the states for now. I thought about energy. What can the states do about the cost of diesel? Nothing. What can they do about the frequent collapse of national grid? It's not in the hands of the states. What can the states do about foreign exchange? What can they do about import duty on some of these raw materials for the industries? What can they do about transportation? They can do a bit, but not entirely. Because when you are talking about railway system, you are talking about major road networks, they belong to the federal. So I still go back to this issue of having to restructure. Restructuring will help. That is one. Secondly, the subnationals in the Southwest should also do a lot more to get their priorities right. They need to do a lot more in creating industrial estates so that even if you don't have power all over the place, you can work out an arrangement where you have powers in some of these industrial estates or industrial parks. You can replicate a lot of things that Obafemi Awolowo did about farm settlements, supporting farmers with seedlings and all of that. Supporting them with marketing, with packaging, with storage. The subnationals can do that. They should look individually at the potential in their states, just as you said. You talk about agriculture, you talk about cocoa, you talk about many other crops that are in the sub-region. So while there are issues at the federal, there are also issues at the states. And it's a question of the right kind of priorities. If you have better road networks that are state roads, it will help a great deal in terms of promoting agriculture.
I was about asking you, what commodity is it that the Southwest region is known for presently? In the past, we used to talk of cocoa But I wouldn't know if we can still talk exclusively about the Southwest having that at the grip of its palm. What commodity is it that the Southwest region is known for presently?
I think the most notable is cocoa. And you know, we also grow kola nuts in the Southwest, even though we don't eat too much of the kola nuts, but kola nuts is grown in the Southwest. Then we have a whole lot of food crops. I mean, Shaki and all these other areas in Oyo State are noted to be part of the food basket of the country. Whether you are talking of yam, you are talking of cassava and all of that, they are grown generously in the Southwest. You know, so there are quite a lot that is happening in the Southwest in terms of agriculture. But these farmers need to be supported. Their productivity needs to increase. They need linkages in terms of transportation, rural roads. They need quality seedlings. And we need to create the environment for the young people to go to the farms. Because the farming population is aging. Just as you said, many of the young people are now becoming Okada riders. We need to create the environment to attract them. We need to look at issues of mechanization. You go to some states, they don't even have up to 2 or 3 tractors that can support farmers to ensure mechanization. We need to create the environment to make the agricultural sector much more attractive, especially to the younger generation. So these are some of the things that we need to do. Then, of course, we need to ensure that we have the right kind of advocacy in the meantime to ensure that we have the right kind of policies. Because many of these government policies are federal policies. So all our legislators from our states need to also be strong in advocacy to ensure that we don't have policies that discourages or that frustrates, that creates a lot of problems for investors in the region and beyond.
Many people in the Southwest today believe restructuring is the way to go. But we're treating this issue of restructuring as if it's an abstract concept. It may be in the real sense of it, but we can make it more concrete. Now, though you're an economic expert, but you want to share with us how you think restructuring can be achieved and how it will work so that we'll stop mouthing it, we'll swing into action. Who takes what step and as at when should this step be taken?
Some steps have already been taken with respect to constitutional amendments. All the state assemblies are now looking at the proposed constitutional amendments. So that process is ongoing. That is the first major step that we can use to address this issue of restructuring. It's not about throwing away the entire constitution. It's about looking at it and these amendments. First, in the amendment, for instance, issue of electricity will now come to concurrent list. Issues of the railways will come to the concurrent list. Issues of airports will come to the concurrent list. Issues of state police is also on the cards. Then there are also issues around VAT, revenue allocation, and all of that.
And so you think if we have all of these in place, if the state houses of assembly should work speedily on this, then we should be talking of a restructured country relatively?
Oh, of course. It's a work in progress. Because the whole essence of restructuring conversation is the devolution of powers. You remove a lot of items from the exclusive list into the concurrent list. That is what restructuring is all about. It's not about dismantling the country or no. You reduce the powers at the center.
So
that each state can move at its own pace.
So the journey
you can bring your innovation, creativity to bear on your states.
So the journey to restructuring has started.
It has started, of course.
Okay, so your advice to state houses of assembly as we go.
You should engage our houses of assembly What components of the amendments are they supporting? What components are they not supporting? That is the process. The whole idea is to reduce power from the center, devolve power from the center to the subnationals.
Dr. Muda,
that is what it's all about.
Dr. Muda Yusuf, I must say a big thank you to you for your time on the program this day. Thank you so much for honoring us. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you very much, Anu. Thank you.